Mike, I'm truly honored and excited to have you on the show today.
Well, Dave, it's a pleasure to be here and thank you for sharing my platforms. And maybe between the two of us, we can help a veteran out there.
Absolutely. And if we could help anyone, especially veterans as well. But if we could help anyway, I think that's the goal. So let's welcome to the Attention Now podcast. Let's get started with an introduction. Mike Fallon is a true legend and hero. Got his tactical start in the U.S. Marine Corps. Colonel Fallon, USMC, a Marine combat veteran, having served 33 years as an infantry officer. He commanded in combat at every level from recon to task force. In Vietnam, he served with both 3rd Battalion, 26th Marines, and 1st Recon Battalion. He commanded on Hill 119 during the Vietnam War and as a reconnaissance platoon leader. Following active duty, he joined industry to continue supporting Marines for over 22 years, leading deployments of command and control systems. Marine Corps legacy makes him a powerful voice of resilience, leadership, and values that define American fighting spirit. Mike is a principal at, is it POG LLC? Mike?
You can say it that way or you can say it POG. Just
POG.
don't call it POG.
Don't call it POG like we were used to. That's why I triple check. And
Yeah.
and the author of an incredible book, Hill 119, which you guys can see right behind here. Mike sent me a copy of the book. I'm reading through it. Looked on Amazon. It has outstanding reviews, but we'll be diving into that here shortly as well. So make sure you guys get a copy of that. Let's get started. Mike, where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in the Marine Corps, Dave.
Nice.
I was born 3 hospitals back in the old wooden hospital at Camp Pendleton on
Okay.
Lake O'Neill that had all the World War II vets in it.
Oh, wow.
No air conditioning out on the porch. And my father is just back from China post World War II. And first lieutenant had a great set of quarters down at Del Mar Beach. He got one half a Quonset hut, and I got the lower drawer of a government issued 4 drawer chest of drawers as my crib. And if I talked too much, the drawer got closed. But Del Mar Beach, about 200 meters from the water, my first 2 years, and of course, one of my favorite places today. Moved every 2 years with my father. And so I grew up in the Marine Corps, affectionately known by fellow people that had done that as brats, BRATS, Marine Corps brats.
Awesome. Awesome. Uh, and where do you live now, Mike?
I live in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Very
Okay.
fortunate to live here and am enjoying the what we call in the desert dry heat.
You love the heat then, I could tell. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously, being a son of a Marine, that kind of set your mindset. Is that what pretty much drove you to your path to joining the Marine Corps as well?
I don't think I ever, to be honest, I don't think I ever thought about it. Uh,
Okay.
it's kind of like a kid when you go to grade school, you don't think about it. You go to the grade school your parents
Got it.
uh, drive you to or tell you where to walk to. Uh, coming out of high school, the decision was join the Marines or go to college. And my father didn't weigh in. My mother said, no, you have to go to college. So uh, I went down the college route. And as soon as I was a freshman in college, I joined the Marine Corps.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very good. Very good. So yeah, there wasn't no other thought about doing something else, right? It was just pretty much in your blood, and it's like, hey, that's what I'm doing, man.
That's the way I wasn't told to do anything except go to college. And I didn't think about it. I was a walk-in for the recruiter, and he was happy, and Vietnam War was going, so the bar was pretty low. If you fog a mirror, the Marines would put you in.
Uh, Speaking of the Marine Corps, what was the most valuable lesson? I know you did many years in the Marine Corps. What was the most valuable lesson you learned in the Marine Corps?
I think to listen,
Okay.
uh, reinforced by uh, many great Marines, uh, listening to my staff NCOs, um, and some of the Marines that work for me, when they watch this, they'll probably say, "Really? He really listened?" But yeah, I think even for life, listening takes patience. A lot of people don't have patience. It takes concentration, and listening is listening, looking at body language. Dave, you know all this, um, but it's really important, and
Absolutely.
it's more than half the way to a good dialogue with another human being.
100%. So let me ask you this. Was that always the case, even as a young officer, or did that take a period of time to get to that point?
Um, I think I got better as I got older. I
Right.
would
Same
like to
here.
think, I would like to think that I listened. When I was young, I had a great opportunity. Of course, in the basic school, at Quantico, Virginia, you just take notes and listen and then regurgitate stuff back. The competition is the place in the class so you could influence your MOS or your uh, next A school, which was kind of ridiculous since the war was going on. Everybody's going to Vietnam. If you weren't going to flight school or you weren't going to, the one guy got to go to engineering school and a couple guys got to be arty guys, but basically everybody else that was not on an aviation contract was headed downriver uh, and straight to Vietnam because the death rate of second lieutenants was in the Marine Corps was the highest statistically, and they could grind out enough second lieutenants. The basic school then was running one class graduating uh, every month and sometimes two a month. I went to check in. I thought I was really smart. I'd lived at Quantico three times already as a boy. And my dad told me to check in at 11:59 in the last day of your travel or leave so you don't get put on working parties, cutting the grass, cleaning the head. So I check in at O'Bannon Hall there at the basic school at Camp Barrett, 11:59. There's a second lieutenant there in camis, and I signed the logbook. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. Uh, did have a good haircut. He says, "Okay, there, Fallon, you know where Camp Upshur is?" And I said, "Sure, I know where Upshur is." He says, "Well, that's where you got to go." I said, "Hey, wait a minute. You got this all wrong. I'm a second lieutenant just like you. I'm supposed to get a room here in O'Bannon Hall." And he said, "Sorry about that." Drove out to Upshur my next 4 months, first 4 months of five at the basic school. We're in a Quonset hut at Upshur, and not much had changed. You go outside, go down the sidewalk to get a shower. So uh,
That's
I didn't
awesome.
listen to him when I was checking in. He had to yell at me, but I tried to listen after that.
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I thought I knew it all, right? So
Yeah.
I think over the years, you gain that wisdom. It's like, hey, you know what? If you want to succeed, you need to communicate and hear what other people are saying, or else they're not gonna follow you, right? They're not gonna follow you. They're not gonna feel appreciated, which is pretty interesting.
Right.
What was the biggest challenge that you faced when you were in the Marine Corps?
That's really an easy question
Okay.
for anybody that's ever been on recruiting duty. I was on recruiting duty for 39 months,
Oh, wow.
23 days, and 3 hours. You're on quota every month. It's high pressure. It's high attrition compared to other um, occupational fields and other billets in the Marine Corps. And it's easily measured. Performance is measured by how many men and women you sign up in this month. And then it's the second measurement is how many you ship down range to boot camp. And so uh, really hard work. Uh, I learned more about myself in those 39 months than any other tour. Uh, I was fortunate. I inherited, I went into a great place, recruiting station, Houston, Texas,
Oh,
as a
great.
commanding officer. They were last in the nation, but they had great Marines. And so it was, in retrospect, they wanted positive leadership, and it was a quick turnaround. We were number one in the nation within 9 months
Wow.
and stayed in the top three for the next 30 months. Um, and it's because of the hard work of the staff NCOs and the individual sergeant Marines. And a lot of fellow recruiters would tell me I had a great place to recruit in, and that's true. Texas is a great place to recruit, and didn't make it any easier though. So didn't mean to get long-winded, but want to give
No,
credit to
no,
all
love
the
to hear
hard
your stories.
working. Yeah, I just want to say the hard-working recruiters are still out there today, and any retired Marine can help by giving them a referral or just suggesting. They don't have to go into hard sales. Just suggest a young person get an alternative view if they're tired of digging ditches or being the tool boy on a rig out in West Texas. Tool boy is the lowest guy in the rig, and all he's doing is running and jumping all day long. And Marine Corps is a better place than being a tool boy on a rig that's going into the ground. Over.
Okay, awesome. It's amazing how much we grow when we're put in tough situations, isn't it, Mike?
It is, and some of us grow a lot, and some of us tread water and get by. And what I found is that if a person, a lot of us are too proud to ask for help. Almost in any situation, if you can get through your own barrier and simply ask for help, most institutions have got help related processes or organizations built in because it's in their interest to have you succeed. It's not in their interest for you to fail.
Right, that's true.
But the human many times is afraid to ask for help.
100%. Yeah, I think they want to try to get it done all on their own. It's like if not, they feel like they're failing. Let's get back to the Marine Corps as far as missions go. I know that you did a lot of missions. We'll dive into a little bit more when we talk about your book. But what mission stands out to you after all these years the most?
Well, I guess there's one humanitarian mission and one peacekeeping mission.
Okay.
So the humanitarian mission, uh, there was a Operation Boat Lift, early 80, when Fidel decided to let people go if they wanted to go, no consequences. And so Mariel, Cuba, closest port to Key West, became the launch site for literally thousands of little boats coming across.
Wow.
And Fidel had a budget problem, so he unloaded all his prisons and put them into population, all the insane asylums, except for a few political prisoners that were high up. So it became known as the Mariel Boat Lift. I was a major at Camp Lejeune, and CG was Major General Dave Toomey, and he said, hey, there's something going on down there in Key West. And what had happened was the local chief of police got overwhelmed. The sheriff got overwhelmed. The governor called, to make this short, called the White House. The White House declared an emergency, called over to the Pentagon. They went around the room in the tank. Nobody wanted the mission. The chief of staff of the military just turned to the commandant of the Marine Corps and said, Marine Corps got it.
Nice.
I was with the 1st Battalion, 6 Marines. We were on air alert, which means the lead rifle company was sitting on their bags even on Liberty weekend in the barracks at Camp Lejeune, 6 hours to be at the airhead. The general called me in and said, hey, we got the mission, but we don't know what's going on. just leave right now and you fly down there
Wow.
and do an assessment and call us back. I literally jeans and a sweatshirt, went to Jacksonville Airport, flew to Atlanta, flew to Key West, found the chief of police. There's about 5,000 Cubans sitting on corners of the
Wow.
street. He said, "Hey, well, I can't handle it." Um, Called back, uh, talked to the CG, and before I left, my battalion commander, a great Marine named Thomas Campbell, Texas Marine, um, said, "I don't care if there's nobody there. Your assessment is you're going to call out the Air Alert Battalion." I said, "Why is that, sir?" He says, "Because the Marines don't have anything to do. They're locked up in the barracks. If we fly to Key West, they got something to do, and it'll be an adventure." And I remember, well, it turned out we needed the Air Alert Battalion, and in fact, I recommended the second day bring the Air Alert Regiment down. We formed a joint task force. The Marielitos formed the backbone of Little Havana in Miami today. They're great citizens. It turned into a 5-month mission,
Wow.
and I won't go into all the ins and outs, but we helped a lot of Cubans. I migrated down to being the three of the Joint Task Force, and then back to being the last guy out, shutting it down. So the Mariel boat lift, great humanitarian effort. A lot of citizens immigrated to our great country and became citizens that give us hard work ethics back every single day.
Wow.
The other the other mission that you said sticks out is I had the good fortune after amphibious warfare school of being posted to the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization in Palestine. The headquarters there formed in 1947 on Government Hill, the old British headquarters in Jerusalem. I was seconded out to first Egypt, where I ran patrols in the Sinai Desert. In the UN, you have to have two people on a patrol. Patrol's usually in a car, usually a Jeep Wagoneer, because if you find a violation, it can't be political, so two different country officers have to sign it. My partner the whole time I was in Cairo was a Russian, and that was interesting.
Wow.
He spoke better English than I did. Boarding school his whole life. Great polo player. Had been in Cairo for 20 years back to back. First with the Russian mission, and then when the Russian mission got kicked out, he was an intel guy, so could speak English. So they just shoved him into the UN and kept him there. There wasn't much going on in Sinai then. I volunteered to go to Lebanon. Ended up in Lebanon for the next year. Worked South Lebanon. Was the guy on the ground that called the shots for the 1978 incursion. Watched the Israelis come across with a mechanized brigade on 3 avenues of advance. Great teaching opportunity to watch them attack the PLA, the Palestine Liberation Army of the PLO, and got involved in well, the IDF didn't like my reporting, so they detained me,
Oh, wow.
stuck me in jail at Metula, and then handed me a nice menu in English from the delicatessen across the street, and I got to eat nice for 3 or 4 days until the New York UN pressure got to them, and they were past my observation post, OP named RAS, Southern Lebanon. I went via Cyprus and got back to Beirut towards the end of their incursion and was instrumental in facilitating the chairman of the PLO, Yasser Arafat, into what turned out to be a secret meeting in Beirut suburbs with a 3-star general in charge of the United Nations Truce Supervision Organization, who was from Ghana, had been educated in Sandhurst, real professional. In that meeting with Arafat, we negotiated the ceasefire and his agreement to accept the United Nations interim force in Lebanon known as UNIFIL. And it was important to the Palestinian organization because it demonstrated to the world that they were a political entity, their term a state, and they could abide by some regulations that governments went by, rules of the road. One of the agreements that a French colonel in the negotiations, who was a Lebanese expert, he was actually the colonel in charge of the Israeli-Lebanese Mixed Armistice Commission, another UN organization that monitored the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel since 47, which I was a member of, ILMAC, that the PLO had to form a police force to police their own deviants and their own hardcore members. And that was the birth of Al-Fatah. And they actually went after the PLFP that week and cleaned up a bunch of them, or at least killed a few and shut down the rest of them, so the ceasefire could go into effect and then the withdrawal. And so from an educational point of view, for a senior captain in the Marine Corps, got to see a second war, got to see it up close and personal, got to see major mistakes made by the Israeli brigades. They did not know how to fight combined arms at the time. They didn't want to take casualties, so they led with tanks. And the PLA countered with Stinger missiles.
Oh my gosh.
And so they're like, you know what a TOW is, of course, Dave, a tube-launched optically guided wire missile that you and I both grew up with. Stinger was a wire-guided missile about half the size of a TOW, run by a joystick, and they would swarm tactics the lead 2 or 3 tanks in it that were coming up a 2-lane highway. And the coast road in South Lebanon from Nakura to Tyre, old Crusader port, was only 2 narrow lanes wide, and then there were orange groves with very mature, thick oranges. Wow. So the tanks were channelized, and they killed the first 2 with a mobility kill, not an armor kill. It stopped the formation. And so the PLA stopped the Israelis south of the Litani, and the Tyre pocket, which was controlling the peninsula town of Tyre and the whole Crusader fort, the PLFP controlled. They kept it. Got to watch the Israelis use naval gunfire on that, but they weren't coordinating it with the armored column that was like 500 meters away from them. There was no comm between the 2 of them.
Wow.
So I think they learned a big lesson. I got to watch it as a student of warfare from the front row seats and from both sides, and then got to participate in the establishment of UNIFIL, in the deployment of 8 battalions that were donated by 8 different countries. And that's another opportunity to learn. Each of the countries has customs that they do. And
right.
Back to, and then I'll be quiet because I can talk about this a long time, back to listening. And so sitting down with, we had asked that each of the 8 battalions send in a advance party, and they all did that. United States' contribution was the airlift. So like the best battalion was the Nepalese Gurkhas, and those guys got there, and we made a decision in the UNIFIL 3 shop. They'd go in the hardest sector, and we put them online across the southern Lebanon, 8 battalions, double arms interval, out to the mountains to form the initial ceasefire barrier, and then build it into a barrier that was a little wider. Basically, the accepted barrier even today is from the south of the Litani River to the border is, Palestinians will get in there and launch a rocket to hit the northern kibbutzes, and that'll get 1.5 self-propelled 155 counter battery fire, about 25 rounds on you. So you
Wow.
got to
Oh,
shoot and move. Anyway, so those are the two: Mariel boat lift
wow.
and Southern Lebanon, and both of them great learning opportunities uh, for a young Marine to learn, and listening in both instances to people you're not used and trained to deal with.
Right. What an amazing experience that not many people would ever get a chance to do. Yeah, which is incredible. And I'm sure that you're kind of surprised getting getting incarcerated for doing your job as well, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the PLO, just to get even, did the same thing to me about a month later.
I
That, yeah,
that was going to be my next question. Was that the only time that that happened? But you already answered that, so thank you.
yeah,
Uh,
no, go ahead.
how did you forge the mindset to succeed, Mike? Was that from your family or the Marine Corps? I know that's one and the same, kind of.
Well, it's a double-edged sword, and I don't believe I was uh, very articulate in looking forward to succeed.
Okay.
I think I was driven by the other side of that sword. I was always afraid I was going to fail. And because of that, the only thing I controlled was my own time. When I controlled my own calendar in the day, my solution was to work harder and work longer than anybody else. Um, and it's a work ethic I picked up from both my mother and my father. They didn't ever say that to me.
Okay.
I picked it up as a boy, watching them both and the efforts they put into whatever they took on. And I, I'm not a smart guy. I'm dyslexic, and I transferred school so often in grade school that I struggle with the English language,
Okay.
even today. And so the only way to get around that was to spend more hours uh, reading the instructions, if you would, or slowly going after what the task was. So I don't think I look forward. I think I tried to dodge the bullet of fear, and that drove me to at least a mediocre ability to stick around a little bit. And I would tell you now, I've learned that, and my family find this hard to believe, to read the instructions first and then go to YouTube University and watch how to change a toilet seat.
Right.
And then it's easy. But if you just go, in the old days, my young days, when I was too proud to read the instructions, I'd go try to change the toilet seat and I'd break it, then I get
Yeah.
all upset. And
Right.
then I go read the instructions and say, oh shit, okay. Um, go back. Anyway, so, online resources, I mean, you're online now and you know this, um, are unbelievable for the young person and allows them the freedom to get a second opinion. A quick dinner story: I was with my bride's brother,
Okay.
my brother-in-law's family,
Brother-in-law.
and
Okay.
had to think about that one for a minute. And eating dinner, and I was telling a story about Alice Springs, Australia.
Okay.
And I've been known to embellish the story. And the three boys at the table that were all 12 and under, or one of them might have been 14. And this is like 10 years ago. They whipped out their phones, and I was saying that Alice Springs was a desert truck stop in the middle of the desert, and that's what it started as. And that there were only 14 mates there pumping gas and throwing boomerangs at kangaroos, and was embellishing this big story. And the 14-year-old bump, hey, Uncle Mike, there's 23,000 people live in Alice Springs today. Here's a satellite picture of it.
Oh
Well,
my God.
totally busted. How can you tell good stories now when, you can be fact checked. Not that everything on the internet's true, but
Right.
you can certainly be fact checked on the internet. So yeah,
Yeah, it's amazing that it's so much information at our fingertips. Back in the day, I remember when we got our first set of World Book encyclopedias. It's like, man, this is so amazing,
yeah,
right? So think about
yeah.
it now. It's like you have pretty much anything you need to find out right at your fingertips in a matter of seconds, which is incredible. So definitely use those resources to keep growing and I definitely use YouTube for a lot of stuff that I need to do to learn about, and I think it's a great resource. So, Mike, I know that physical fitness was extremely important for us, right, in the Marine Corps, and to keep did you carry that on like for now that you're out of the Marine Corps, and as far as nutrition, are you eating healthy, keep your mental sharpness?
I like to think so.
Okay,
I think I cheat a little bit more now. Give myself a break every once in a while. Still working out 6 days a week,
nice.
mainly trying to walk vigorously and do some isometric stuff. Um, yeah, I mean, I probiotics every morning, prebiotics, whatever the biotics are.
Okay.
Uh, my sons are into it. Healthy protein shake in the morning. And now we eat at home. Everybody's moved out. Uh, we eat our big meal at lunch. Try
Yes.
to do a Mediterranean style salad and rotate the salads and try to eat light at dinner. And uh, I've got a spare tire. My doctor tells me don't worry about it. That when that's your body storing stuff for when you need it, and at your age, don't worry about it. So, I'm vertical. I've like anybody my age, I've got complex problems. I'd like to give a shout out to people to get tested for blood tested for prostate cancer. If you're over 40 and you're active, uh, you should take a blood test for prostate cancer. I'm a prostate survivor, but
Oh,
it
wow.
takes fighting every day. Uh, the one cancer you want to get is prostate cancer if you're a male, because there's been so much research and there's so many solutions. You now can prolong your life for a long period of time if you stick with the regime. And the the key is early detection, which is a simple blood test. Take your PSA, look at your score, wait 6 months, take a second blood test, see what the delta is, talk to your doctor. You catch it early, you can defeat it. So there's no reason for somebody to discover prostate cancer when they're 65 and die a month later because they didn't know they had it.
Wow. So you found it
Go
early
get,
then, Mike, right?
yeah.
That's
Well, I
awesome.
found it. I found it mid. I didn't get the lecture until a friend of mine gave me the lecture. I think when I was 60, and
Okay.
I took the test, and the PSA was off the charts, and we just started down that tube, and I've done everything I think that they ever invented on prostate cancer. And the good news is I'm vertical, and I would just tell everybody, if you're a veteran, it's free. Go to the VA and just ask them for a PSA test.
There you go.
It
So they don't do it on the regular blood test. You have to
No,
request
no.
it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the protocol thing is it
Okay.
used to be 50 driven by insurance, and I don't know what the insurance companies do, but the active prostate cancer groups that are pushing education are saying for males, do it at 40. Black males have a higher statistic of prostate cancer. Definitely do it at 40 and take 6 months, do it again. 6 months later, do it again. Look at the trend line. And if your PSA is going up, then go find you know, get past the family medicine doctor, find an oncologist specialist, talk to him about what it means and what your options are.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, definitely we'll put that on the notes as well. And I'm pretty sure I know this answer, Mike, but I'm going to ask because we're talking a little bit about health. McDonald's, Wendy's, uh, fast
Okay.
food,
You know,
sodas. Do you partake in any of that?
uh, no,
Good.
ex
Same
ex
here, by the way. None.
every once in a while, if we're on a long road trip, you know, and you look, your choices at a
Yeah,
interstate exit sometime are limited.
right.
Um, uh, I do like a McFlurry, so I get in there and get past all the cheeseburgers, but you know, a McFlurry can get me another 300 miles. Yeah.
I think I would take the Sea Rats over McDonald's, but yeah, every once in a while you need to do it. And I think the only thing I ever get from there once every not very often is their coffee if there's no other coffee around, which is interesting.
Right,
So,
right.
uh, Mike, did you struggle with PTSD or TBI? And if you did, how did you battle through it?
I don't know if I struggled with it. I do have PTSD.
Okay,
Um, I didn't admit it to myself until about 5 years ago, and I thought it was up to me to solve the problem. Um, and back to my earlier comment of getting past that fear of admitting something and asking for help.
right,
Um, Coming back from Vietnam, all of us parked Vietnam in the back right hand corner of our brain and got on with life. And people didn't ask you about it. Marines didn't ask you about
right.
it.
Nobody
It
really
was,
talked about it back then.
yeah, it was a. I look back on it, and the amphibious warfare school, supposed to be a professional school. We were about half Vietnam vets, captains, and half non-captains, and you would have thought there'd be a lot of dialogue about it. And the non-Vietnam vets were intimidated, and the Vietnam vets, out of politeness, didn't want to hoard it over them. So there was hardly any discussion about it. I did get in a very uh, long discussion and anger with my major faculty advisor, and I was right intellectually and tactically, and he was right when he marked me down and put me at the bottom of the class for non-cooperation and failure to listen.
Oh man.
The only person I wasn't listening to was him,
Okay.
uh, and I'm not proud that I didn't listen, but I would never have changed my position. Um, so I didn't even start thinking about Vietnam, except if it helped me in a tactical situation. The first time I really pulled it all back was when Desert Shield formed up, and in the Shield portion, we deployed to Saudi Arabia, and I was fortunate enough uh, to command the 1st Battalion, 1st Marines, 1st of the 1st. We were meched up as a meched up unit, and we had 6 Vietnam vets in the entire. Uh, it was a reinforced battalion of 1,481 men
Okay.
went across phase line black. Um, so I was just blown away. So I had to go back and pull out Vietnam memories to teach, and just give you one example. It'll be real quick. Because of EPA regulations in the United States, we don't teach except in a classroom for 1 hour. Sometimes it's very boring. Field sanitation, and
Mhm.
so when you go to 29 Palms, and I've been there myself, you see lieutenants and sergeants with map stays in their pocket going down a Delta corridor, uh, and they know where to take a left to get up on Alligator, uh, because there's 23 blue porta-johns there. And so you navigate by porta-john. You go down to 23 porta-johns, hook left, pop
Yeah,
up where
that's
you're
funny.
supposed to be, get in
Right.
your overwatch position. We got to Saudi Arabia, nobody knew how to burn the shitters.
Oh
They didn't know
man.
how to make shitters. So, I called the foreign and said, get some old 55-gallon drums, cut them in half, brother, and fill them with fuel, and then we'll have a classroom session for all the staff NCOs and officers. But everybody's not going to. They were shitting out in the desert, and besides walking in it, it's bad hygiene. Some of the early
Right.
battalions had lots of dysentery. So I want to be the big superstar. So I'm going to teach the battalion commander is going to teach field sanitation, burning the shitters. We got a cut in half drum. The fuel's in there. There's some shit in there. I got a big 2x4. And so I say, this is what you do in the shitbird. And the word shitbird comes from, that's the Marine that was on the bad
On the
list from
duty for
squad
that.
leader.
Right.
And the corpsmen supervise uh, burning the shitters, so they don't have to burn them themselves. They're the supervisors. The shitbirds are the guys that. So I said, I'm a shitbird today. I got to stir. So I got a book of matches out of the MREs and opened it up and lit the whole match thing and threw it into the half 55-gallon barrel, and it was an explosion. It
Oh,
was a
wow.
huge explosion. I got soot, singed my eyebrows, singed my hair.
Oh, man.
Get up off the ground, and everybody's looking at me. And my three, a great Marine, Bob Wagner, Daddy Wags, who was a Vietnam vet, and he came over and he picked me up and he said, when we were burning shitters, sir, in Vietnam, it was a marine grade diesel fuel that was thick as sludge. Uh, Today, the Marine Corps is a single fuel outfit, in case you didn't know it, and the single fuel is JP8 that
Oh,
flies in the
no.
jets.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
so, smart one here trying to show off throws the matches into JP8 and got the results. And of course, it's something we laugh about today, but we had no dysentery. So I had to think about lessons learned from Vietnam and uh, booby traps. And of course, we ran into them in the minefields. We had to breach a double minefield. And so all that stuff we had learned came flooding back and was very useful. Um, and I guess since then, I have not been afraid to embrace my Vietnam experience, which was I was fortunate. I had a long and at the time and multiple experiences in Vietnam that really set the basis or the foundation for my Marine Corps career.
That's awesome. Mike, we're talking a little bit about training. Thank you for sharing that. And did you actually wind up doing anything for the PTSD or TBI then, or talking to anybody, or medication, or like any other therapy?
I've uh, I've done no medication.
Okay.
Um, I have talked to people.
Okay.
I have talked to people in the VA who maybe I got there in a bad day, weren't very good listeners,
Right.
or maybe I wanted to jump ahead. Uh, I don't do well in structured organizations, but I did well enough in the Marine Corps uh, because I wasn't listening to them. I thought PTSD, I was supposed to talk,
Right.
and so I read a lot, and then I started writing
Okay.
and writing journals to myself, and that really helped.
Oh, nice.
And so writing the journals and then not being afraid uh, to talk about Vietnam, not dodge around the subject or change the subject, or with if there was an analogy or if I remembered something, I started telling stories, what
Okay.
you might call war stories. So,
That's awesome.
um, and the last is my bride Sandy is she's a nurse. Uh, uh, Ended up her career in clinical research, and I would call her a professional listener. Uh,
Okay.
you wouldn't believe the number of people that call her and talk to her, and she spends the time and has the patience. And after listening for half an hour, she says, "Well, I think you ought to do A, B," and they go and do it. And so she's listened to all my whining and complaints, and it knows me well enough now to say, "Sit down, let's really talk about it," or, you know, buck it up. That's no big deal. Let's move on.
Yeah, I
And
think
so,
that's awesome that you're able to get it out, and then
yeah,
you've been able to find a mission to keep moving forward and not focus on the past, which is incredible. Uh, what was the toughest training that you ever went through in the Marine Corps?
hardest training was uh, up above the Arctic Circle.
Oh,
I think
okay,
it's in the Marine Corps or anywhere else. Uh, I did cold winter 80, 81
okay,
as he led the advanced party in. We had we took 1-6 again. We took the entire battalion. It was supposed to be an air alert exercise to reinforce the northern flank of NATO. At the last minute for us, 2 months out, uh, FMF Lant decided they wanted to demonstrate amphibious capability and switched us into a MAU, a Marine Amphibious Unit. Um, we had trained at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, and Fort Drum, New York, on old skis from Korea
okay.
in sometimes in 45 or 60-degree weather with no snow on the ground, going across football fields and grass.
Oh, wow.
We got to Tromsø, Norway, 250 miles north of the Arctic Circle. They plow the runway there, and there were 40-foot snowdrifts on both sides of the single runway.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, we went into a tent camp.
Okay.
Uh, we had Korean era 10-man tents. The real meaning of Firewatch, you had a metal stove in the center of this round 10-man tent with a stove pipe that went up the middle. And we had purchased firewood, cords of firewood from the Norwegian farmers that during the non-snow season cut it and stack it in their firewood barns and sell it. And we had put hay down as insulation, 10 inches of hay, and then put a canvas top over it. So a ground canvas, 10 inches of hay, canvas. This is old school stuff. And back to one third, one third, one third. You could only be outside for less than 20 minutes. Uh,
What was the
then back
weather
in,
out? What was the weather there?
it was
Temperature?
20 degrees below,
20 below.
snow, rain,
Okay.
not rain, but sleet
Okay.
for 4 months. And so it was hard on me. And then I had to pay attention and be hard on everybody else since I was leading the advanced party and then folding up the rear party. And during the exercise, I was by then the battalion XO.
Okay.
I was the bad cop and enforcing rules. And that 20-minute rule, uh, we had no frost bite, which we were very proud of. We had frost nip. I got frost nipped. I'm not proud of that. I still feel it today
Oh,
if I
wow.
go into snow.
Okay.
But you violate that 20-minute rule, don't get back in the warming tent, and then don't get back into the regular tent for 20 minutes. And so that goes from training to tactics and how you fight. And the first thing you fight in cold weather is the weather. You have to win in the weather, and you have to know when not to fight. If if it's 0-0 condition, nobody's flying. You shouldn't be driving your BV-202 tractor across the snow in the snowpack because you won't see the crevices. Both sides stop. And then when it's time to fight, you got to know how long you can be out, how long you can move. It's the hardest environment that I've experienced. And I guess from my reading, probably the hardest environment on our globe. And I guess a harsher environment, space.
Okay.
I haven't experienced space, but someday we got a space force now. I'm sure that we will have space marines.
Oh,
I mean,
there you go.
we had astronauts, right? John
Absolutely.
Glenn. We
Right.
all know who John Glenn is.
Right.
Famous senator from Ohio, was also an ace in the Korean War. I'm a history buff. So, Dave, here's one to put you on the spot. Who was John Glenn's wingman in Korea?
No idea. You got
Ted
me.
Williams.
No way. Oh,
Ted,
wow.
Ted Williams left Major League Baseball, went back to the Marine Corps.
I remember him going to the Marine Corps, but I didn't
Yeah,
know. Wow.
became a
Wow.
pilot. Was John Glenn's wingman. They were
Wow.
great friends. He came back, went back to baseball, and of course, Ted Williams was one of our great pilots coming out of Korea. And see that little trivia next time you see Len Lauder, win a beer bet with him.
Oh, there you go.
Except he he probably know Len. I've probably tried that one on him. He probably knows the answer to that one.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Vietnam, I know, and speaking of Lynn Lauder as well, I've had a few Vietnam veterans on the show, and thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you guys, and I know that the reception coming back home was not very favorable. Did you experience any challenges coming back to the U.S. when you came?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good.
We came, I came back late enough that the services had developed the protocol and pre-briefed everybody. Don't go where you shouldn't go. It's back to the country forgetting Vietnam existed. And then they told you, when you get to the States, get in civilian clothes
Okay, there you
and,
go.
you know, stay away and stay out of trouble. I can contrast that. So no experience, no good, no
Okay,
bad.
good,
Uh,
good. That's
I
awesome.
can contrast that with Desert Storm when we got back. The country was, we won. It's the
Right.
last war our country has won. A political statement by Fallon. The country embraced us, and we had parades. And I was fortunate enough to lead the First Battalion, First Marines in a parade down the streets of San Diego with the First Marine Division band in front of us playing Waltz and Matilda, and
Wow.
all of our families out there on the streets. Later, as a fill-in for the division staff, I got to participate in the ticker tape parade down Wall Street, which was phenomenal. And one quick story there. You ended the parade. We're in our chocolate chip utilities. 4 lieutenant colonels is dangerous. It's that lance rank is kind of dangerous. Like 4 lance corporals going out on the town. We had liberty. We had utility liberty
Oh my gosh.
authorized by Schwarzkopf, 4
Wow.
lance colonels on the town of New York City, and we started bar hopping. And we ended up on 100th Street somewhere at 4 in the morning, and we were well past noon. So we weren't afraid of the subway. We just figured we couldn't figure it out. So we said, "Hey, we didn't buy a drink all night long."
Okay.
And so we hailed a cab, New York cabbie, 4 of us pile in, and takes us all the way down to the Battery at the end of Manhattan, where the hotel was. He drops us off, and we're all digging into our wallets, pulling out $50 bills and stuff. And he goes, "Marines, it's on me."
Oh wow.
New York cabbie.
That's amazing. Holy cow.
Unbelievable, right?
Wow, that is unbelievable.
So,
Wow.
that was a welcome back story from
I love it.
Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
So a lot of people say there's no atheist in a foxhole. Did faith uh, help you with your purpose in your life at all?
Yeah, I think it helped me post, um,
Okay.
uh, not pre. So I was born and raised a Catholic, can do Mass in Latin. Had the nuns hit me on the fingers and with the ruler.
I forgot about Latin Mass. You're right. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Nomine Patris, Spiritus Tu Sanctus.
Yeah. Yep.
Give
Go
you my
ahead. Sorry.
blessing.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Give you
just
my
remembered.
blessing,
Yeah.
my son.
Yep.
Um, I didn't really. My father, he was an Irish Catholic. He told me one time that means he had to go to church at Christmas and Easter, and then he wrote the check that paid. My mother took us to church every Sunday, made us be altar boys, went to Catholic grade school.
Okay.
So in the Marine Corps, I did not participate and I didn't beat the Bible.
Okay.
I saw some commanders that did at Camp Lejeune, not in a hostile environment, and it didn't have the right taste in my mouth. In Vietnam, though, we encouraged religion, and my experience was everybody embraced it in their downtime.
Okay.
And I think part of it was something to do. And I think part of it was in the back of their mind, they were looking for something. In Desert Shield, Desert Storm, it was the same experience. When it was time to fight, you fought. When we had downtime, people embraced it, nothing else to do. You'd get, 600 people at Catholic Mass, and the next day you'd get 600 or 700 people at a Protestant service, and 3/4 of them were the same guys, but they were listening to the word of the Lord. I've had a lot of experience in Afghanistan and the Middle East. Did graduate level Middle East subjects, so I know that the Muslim religion is a religion that has its own rules and regulations, and like any religion, has its deviant behaviors,
Right.
just like the Catholic religion's problems with priests and young men.
Correct.
As I've gotten older, I now believe, I now embrace a higher entity, but I don't think I'm not to where my mother was, who she was a converted Catholic, said the rosary 3 times a day, and I'm not to where my father was, where he basically justified not thinking about it by writing checks.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, it's part of your life, which is amazing. So that's good. I think it's extremely important. So thank you for sharing that. Can you walk us through what your business does, and then we'll start talking a little bit about your book.
Be real short on my business because I don't do very much business now.
Okay.
It's a consulting organization. The 2 principals are my wife Sandy and myself, and we consult on stuff we know about. She did clinical research, did international trial studies for drugs. She has stopped doing that so she can take care of our grandsons. We're very proud that we now have 2 young grandsons,
Congratulations.
and that's made her so happy. So she's exited clinical research consulting. I still consult a little bit on the side,
Okay.
but only do it for friends or on subjects that I enjoy. So I do it for the Marine Corps as an institution, if asked, and on subjects where I've made more mistakes than any other Marine. You read my background coming in here. When I retired, I immediately went to work as a contractor because we were at war in developing and delivering command and control solutions at the tactical level.
Nice.
That ended up putting in where I supervised. I didn't do the work. I'm not a technician. Combat operations centers in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so not the radio hall end, the radio hall end and the data end is one skill set. That's not my skill set. That meets after the data gets to you. That meets the command center, and you have to make the command center user friendly for the staff and a commander, or it's not a command center. It's got to be user friendly for himself. So all the combat operations centers that got built, and every one was different, but we did it off a playlist and off a contract by Marine Corps Systems Command. So I learned a lot of mistakes there doing it the hard way. Also had the privilege, when you make a mistake there, they want results. So you don't go to an Article 32 or you don't get chastised so much as long as you can come and fix the problem the next day. And I became a master at fixing issues fast.
Nice. I love it. Thank you, Mike, for that. All right, let's get to this incredible book. Tell us about your book, a little bit what inspired you to write it, and if you could dive into it a little bit, that would be awesome.
The book is Hill 119, Defending a Reconnaissance Marines Observation Post in Vietnam, 1969, 1970. This title, publisher's Casemate. They're a niche history publishing house, very good at what they do out of the UK. The book's now available on Amazon, Casemate website. It's available in Kindle, hardback on Amazon, and on 16 September out of Blackstone, the audio is rolling out, and you're the first to hear that, Dave. They just cut the audio deal, and it'll be coming out on MP3 CD, 16 September from Blackstone
Okay.
bookstores. So that's the commercial. Thanks for letting me give the commercial. I slowed down with the consulting when the grandkids came and wanted to keep myself busy. So I've always been a student of history and focused on Vietnam. Part of dealing with that PTSD was I think I've read every book, not fiction, but every book that's nonfiction on Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And I have my own Vietnam library. And then I realized, I have some experiences. Maybe I ought to research that. And I thought about a memoir, and I do not like the I word.
Okay.
Try not to use it. Decided not to write a memoir. A couple of buddies said, write a novel. And I said, well, that's the easy way out. If I tell a story, I want somebody to believe it. Now, so I've written a history book with academic credentials that would pass any collegiate level and pass Casemate's academic review for soundness. If you talk to any veteran about any war, he will tell you a war story, and he is not trying to wittingly lie to you or wittingly tell you something that's not true. But with time, he may, the mind of a human being, and he may merge 4 or 5 stories, and it may be true in his mind.
Got it.
And so when I started interviews I decided I have to write something I know about. I knew about Hill 119. It was the observation post for Delta Company, 1st Recon Battalion. And so each of the battalion companies manned either a radio relay or an observation post on a rotational cycle. You went on a three environment rotation if you're a recon Marine. You went out on patrol in the bush with 5 or 6 of your best friends. That's adrenaline filled, not much sleep, behind enemy lines, deep, and it takes a special mind and a special skill set. The next is you lived in your base camp, Camp Reasoner, which by 1969 and 1970 for Vietnam was pretty luxurious, but it was also, with the luxury came what Marines call chicken shit. There was a sergeant major and a first sergeant, and recon had to polish boots, and although at Camp Reasoner, you'd hire a mama son to polish your boots.
Oh, my gosh.
Chicken shit wasn't too bad.
Right.
Of course, that was a security violation that somehow they didn't want to deal with. The third environment was go on your OP or your radio relay. And it was a 2-week stint, usually a platoon commanded by the platoon commander. The Marines and corpsmen thought it was laid back because you weren't humping.
Right.
And it wasn't chicken shit unless the OIC was an asshole.
Right.
You get to sunbathe in the summer on the top of the bunkers. What they didn't realize was it was, a known target. And the more I read about 119, realized that the enemy took it seriously. So I interviewed everybody I could find that had ever been there.
How long did
And
it take you to research all that, Mike?
did uh, about 3 years of hardcore research, about 10
Wow.
years of from when I started keeping notes on it.
Wow.
And
No wonder this book's so powerful already. But go ahead.
yeah, to make it true for a story to get in, I crosswalked. So when Len Lauder, your readers have heard us mention his name, uh, infamous and famous and also highly qualified reconnaissance Marine, tells a story. We got debriefed after every patrol by the
Right.
S2 shop. Before you could go to eat something, before you went to the shower, you got off the helo and you went and got debriefed. They got typed up, sent to G2, got classified. Well, now they declassified 30 years later. So if somebody says I grabbed a prisoner in March of 69 and my team was Pal Joey, you can go to Virginia Tech, cut a deal with the Marine Corps to digitize all the Vietnam command chronologies and any report.
Oh, wow.
That's the good news.
Okay.
The bad news is they cut that deal about 30 years ago before search engines were really developed. And so their digital database has never been updated to what we would call a searchable database. You have to know you're going after Pal Joey in March of 1969, and you have to look at about 300 patrol reports to find it.
Okay,
But you can
gotcha.
find the good news is you can find it.
Okay, got it.
I crosswalked every story against the patrol report and then went back and re-interviewed the Marine corpsman and got to ground truth. And so that produced the book. I started writing. Friends said, just write, write, write. Um, and it is thick and it's a history book. But I like to think, I've been told, I don't know, that we're telling great stories. Some of them are entertaining. The purpose of the book, real quick, was to pass on where we made mistakes and lessons learned.
Love
So
it.
our booby traps are today's IEDs. There's not a trick in an IED that we did not see in Vietnam. Command detonated, yeah. Big, yeah. Little, yeah. Um, we went left of the boom in Vietnam with recon chasing the bomb builder. That concept, it was reinvented in Iraq. Glad we
Right.
reinvented it. Chasing the bomb makers, not and chasing the equipment and the assets. You know, making fertilizer hard to get. You know, and having a documented trail where you want the peasants to be able to have fertilizer to go to the rice fields, but you need a document trail because it's going to be turned into a bomb. So first, to learn. The second was to tell the Marine Corps as they reorganize, as they always do, uh, don't fall into the trap of cutting human intelligence sources for the sake of technology. We had to reinvent recon after World War II. We had to reinvent it after Korea. We had to invent it for Vietnam.
Wow.
First recon did get cadried for a little bit after Vietnam, but it got reinvented. First recon now has got some unbelievable capabilities that we can't talk about here in the electronic warfare spectrum
Right.
that in the old days we would call radio recon, but they've got a global mission. So the young lads from the Black Diamond today are deployed globally. 5 CENTCOMs, not 5 CENTCOMs, 5 combatant commanders plus Special Operations Command using their specialized capability and training, gathering information so you can turn it into intelligence. That was the second lesson. And the third was just to honor the Vietnam vets now and to remember the POWs that haven't come back. So I told you the 3 reasons, and I told you the 3 environments that I write about in the book. And those become the 6 threads that go through the book. Um, I would encourage Marines to go and read it. And I welcome the continued dialogue with Marines and soldiers and anybody that's interested in not only history, but allowing history to prevent us from making mistakes that are make your own new mistake.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
don't trip an IED and lose a leg the same way we did in Vietnam. Now, same thing, Iraq or Afghanistan. Plenty of amputees now because we got a great medevac system. But the downside is now we have to deal with amputees that have to overcome all their issues. And we see lots of great examples, but we also see examples every day of a homeless vet.
That's true. That's true. Well, like I said, I'm reading through it and loving it already, Mike. So I think it's a great book, great history, and like I think everyone that is listening to this should definitely order it, right? And you'll get a lot of information. And like Mike said, he's willing to collaborate and talk to people, which is awesome. And one other thing you mentioned as well, I always think of this all the time. It's like nothing's ever new, right? It's like everything repeats itself. Kind of like when people used to say, hey, this is the old core, or, we were better and all that. It's like, you know what? Just learn from those lessons, get better. And, that's what we're here in life to do, right? Learn and understand and do better. If you were to comment on the Marine Corps now, what would you change that you don't agree with?
Oh, I think I would go and listen to the combatant commanders, and I would go and listen to my leaders in the Department of Defense and recognize that we have an institutional responsibility, as the Commandant does, to recruit, train, and equip. The Commandant's job is to recruit, train, and equip, provide Marines and Marine organizations to the combatant commanders to fight. That's the school book solution I just gave you to listen to those people. The one thing I would do is Congress also put in law that we would be the keeper of the amphibious operations. And a lot of people like to say amphibious operations are a thing of the past. I need to remind them that 2/3 of this globe that we live on is water.
Correct.
And the one thing I would do is I would go back and resurrect the expeditionary fighting vehicle, which was at its time when it was killed for political reasons, not for technology reasons. And that would give and I would fast track the amphibious capability of ship to shore from over the horizon, which is easily doable from a technology point of view. This is a will and a funding issue, and it's not much funding compared to an F-35. And so I would get after the congressional mission very quickly.
Okay.
We could have a whole show on good ideas on how to fix the Marine Corps today.
We're definitely gonna have to bring you back, Mike. You have like a wealth of knowledge up there, which we need to get out there to the younger generation. And I think you brought up another great point. There's a lot of political stuff that they get their hands tied with, right? So I think a lot of people, it's like, hey, I'll do this and this and this, but then you get some political pressure, or I've heard this with other, and I saw it when I was in the Marine Corps. A lot of people won't do the right thing because they don't want to jeopardize their career, which is, I've seen so many people do that, but that happens in the business world as well, unfortunately. So,
well, I'm sad to hear that commentary, but I don't doubt your experience, that you've seen it, and I don't doubt that it's there today. The Marine Corps is better than that, and it doesn't have to be political. They have to be Marines. That's what our country expects them to do, the hard things that other forces can't do. And that's why they joined the Marine Corps. the women and the men for the challenge. And we still recruit, train, and equip the best generic uh, cohort fighters on the globe today. And with the proud legacy, um, you know, if you're below the rank of the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps and below the rank of the Commandant, just be a Marine and do your job.
100%.
Hey, Dave, I appreciate you having me on. I'm not cutting you off. I just want to get a thank you in for what you're doing for vets of the future and having veterans listen to your show, your podcast, Attention Now. I think you're doing a great job. And thanks for sharing your platform with me.
Absolutely, Mike. Just trying to contribute and give people back, like you said, learn. And I think one thing I just wanted to bring up what we were talking about before, anyone listening that's either on active duty or even out now and retired, always keep that paramount that doing the right thing is always more important than political, money, whatever the case is. If you go for that, it's going to be a short-term solution, and it usually doesn't turn out the correct way. Mike, what's one part of your story that no one's ever heard before that you could share with us?
Well, I'm a talker sometimes when I drink beer.
That means I'm gonna have to fly out to Arizona one day, I guess.
Yeah, I I would say that as a boy, living at Camp Pendleton in quarters, I think my third tour as a brat, I worked in the stables
Okay.
down behind the 17 area, and I got to shovel shit for the horse Reckless, which is the famous horse that the Marines brought back from Korea.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, I needed the money, so I shoveled the shit. What I
Right.
learned was all the Korean vets that would come visit the horse. They'd all come. I mean, that horse, they all brought an apple, they all brought oranges.
Wow.
Um, that horse lived high in the hog and got to walk at the front of the parade and got to walk at the front of the rodeo. And there's a couple books out on Reckless if you're a horse person.
Okay.
Great burst of beating, great beast of burden. I told you wasn't good in English. Beast of burden carrying ammunition for the pack howitzer in Korea for the Marines.
Love it, Mike. Thank you. Mike, for people that want to succeed, let's say you're a youngster, 17, 20, right? What would you recommend, or what kind of path would you recommend for them to be successful in life?
Don't quit. Don't drop out of school. If you're out of school, go back into school. School's a credential. What you don't realize getting that credential, the credential gets you hired. What you
Right.
don't realize
Opens
is,
up any doors. Yep.
yeah, you don't realize you're also learning something that you never fall back in. English language, I avoided the English language
Hmm.
because I was afraid of it. I wasn't any good at it. And I wish I had honed in on it. So I would tell all our citizens and all the people that are on a good pathway to become citizens, don't leave your native language, but embrace the English language, because guess what? That's the universal language.
Right.
The universal language is not a made up language somebody made up. They tried that, it didn't pick up. The United Nations has 5 languages that when they formed the United Nations, the Security Council demanded they print everything in and that they had to be able to translate in. They're not used. The global language is English. It can be the Queen's English. It can be South Texas English. It can be Pidgin English from Olongapo, Philippines. The universal language is English. It's the first tool for you to succeed. So spend extra time reading. And if you read, you will write. And if you can read and write, you will advance faster than the other people you're working with in whatever type job you have.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, especially if you whatever industry you're in, if you're learning more than anybody else, you're going to be a subject matter expert. So I love that, Mike. Thank you. What's the best advice a mentor ever gave you about leadership or business?
Shut my mouth.
All
Um,
right.
I have been told that I talk too much, um, and it's probably true, especially if I've got a wealth of knowledge on the subject. I sometimes don't wait for the apropos moment. I I tend to cut people off because I can see where they're going, and
Right.
I don't listen. I
Got it.
assume where they're going.
Right.
So it goes back. The best piece of advice to me was shut my mouth, and it goes back to the piece of advice that Dave we started with, and I said, listen.
There you go. That's awesome. Mike, how can people follow your journey and connect with you after this podcast? I know you're on LinkedIn.
Well, they can check me out on LinkedIn. They can look at my website, pog-llc.com. Uh, that's fine.
Okay.
Either way,
Perfect. Perfect. And that's Pog, not Pogue, guys. So spelled the same way, just so you guys know.
that's that's
Uh,
a that's a Marine Corps joke for you non-Marines out there.
Hey, Mike, what one final thing here? What's one thing you want people to listen or listeners to remember about you or your mission?
I'd like them to learn from my biggest mistake, and that's running my mouth when I should have been listening.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, let's say that's the goal is to teach people. So thank you, Mike. Mike, we're getting ready to wrap up here. It's been an absolute honor having you on today. Looking to having you back because you have, like I said, a wealth of information. I really appreciate it. And I think you probably bit your tongue more than you wanted to during this podcast, but I think it went really great to get the information out there. Thanks for your sacrifice, your leadership, and your example. You continue to serve with stories that need to be heard.
Dave, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on your podcast with your listeners. Please give my Recon brother louder a hello, and
Absolutely.
ask him who John Glenn's wingman was when you're
Okay.
down at his restaurant. And it's I'm humbled that you had me on. And to all those veterans out there that need help, just ask.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I'll make sure I send Lynn this podcast as well, Mike. So for everyone tuned in today, this conversation, if it moved you, share it. Don't just listen to it, amplify it, get the word out there. It could help other people, right? That's what we're all about here. We're here to serve. We served in the Marine Corps, but we continue to serve now. These stories need to be heard. These lessons can save lives. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you, and thank you for listening. Let me